February 1st, NWSL preseason is starting, which feels, first of all, the earliest that we've ever gotten preseason, right? By a lot.
Absolutely the earliest we've ever gotten.
So what is, and it's also going to be a long preseason, right? Because we've got it starting February 1st, and then we don't actually really have anything on the books until April, with the Challenge Cup actually coming back. So what are your thoughts on this preseason? Like, what the team can kind of get out of it, just in terms of, actually having a lot of time to maybe start building chemistry. Like, that's kind of a much longer run into an NWSL season than we've ever seen before.
I know. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think that us as players, we've always longed for a longer season. We've always wanted this, when you watch overseas, they're playing 9 months out of the year. And that's something that we've always wanted. I think it's tough when you don't have games. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic, and it's going to be new. I think that the most interesting part is kind of preparing for a preseason. Normally you're going in and it's like go time, you have 4 weeks, you're ready to go. Whereas as off-season preparation has been a little bit different, but I think that we have a long enough time, and I think that's good being with COVID and people aren't playing games. We have enough time to really get the fitness we need and to prevent injuries and remain healthy. And so, and then that aside, just, the team chemistry, I think that's huge. I think that, this is the longest preseason we've ever had. So I'm really excited. And I think, for my team in general, we have a bunch of new faces. And so whether they come right away or in a little bit, but, I think for Reed being able to instill his principles and his values on the game and what he sees, I think that it'll be a perfect amount of time, at least for our team. And I think for Farid to, I think we got a taste of it, but obviously last year was really difficult. So I'm really excited to kind of start this new year, longer preseason, and yeah.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you because the Challenge Cup, right, and then fall series, like both of these kind of contained things, right? We're both very used to kind of the grind of an NWSL regular season, but it only gives you kind of like these little pockets of time to try to build something, right? And now you're getting this much longer preseason. You can actually maybe walk through some of the philosophy. What have you seen the shift first on the coaching side of things with Farid coming in as the head coach in terms of the changes? Obviously a couple very, you haven't necessarily been with the Reign since the start of the league, but two very kind of big name coaches for this team between Laura Harvey and then obviously Vlatko Andonovski, right? And then to have this coach come in and then immediately have Challenge Cup and fall series versus a whole season to build. So what are you seeing in terms of the work in progress that is OL Reign?
Yeah, I think that anyone that was going to step in had really big shoes to fill. I think Vlatko is one of the best coaches I've had. I haven't played for Laura, but her success speaks for itself. So, and I've always wanted to play for Laura. So both coaches are big shoes to fill for Farid. So I didn't know what to expect coming in. And because he used to play and he was a professional, he sees the game on such a level that the same way Vlatko sees it. And so I think that that's been so cool to kind of have a coach come in and who I learned so much from Vlatko that I think having Farid come in, I was hoping that I would be able to have a coach that would kind of pour into me the same way Vlatko did. And Farid has done just that. I know his time has been very short, so I almost feel bad for him because it's like he's trying to, instill his principles, but then all of a sudden we have the next game and then the next game. And it's like such a different format that I don't think when you're used to coaching, like it's more like a tournament format where, maybe a Jill Ellis who's been in tournament mode could step in and be like, all right, this is what we're doing. Whereas, going from a coach that coaches long seasons where it's like the long game in a sense to kind of smash these games into one, I think it's really difficult for any coach. And so especially Farid, who the language barrier, I for some reason understand every single word he says. Like he'll be talking to Sophia and say something and she'll look at me like, what? I'm like, oh, he said this and this and this and this. She's like, oh. So like for some reason I like understand everything he says. And so it's really funny, but for the team as a whole to kind of instill what his beliefs are and how he wants us to play and style of play, I think that we need that time. And so does he. And I think it's been a transition for him, getting used to the league, getting used to players. You know, he didn't, last year he inherited this team. He didn't, like, it's not something that he was building. So yeah, I'm excited for this year because I think he has the time to do what he wants and what he needs to. And I think that the players as well will benefit the most from him this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting, as you were saying, like he inherited a team and then you get that first year which is not a normal year. I almost think about James Clarkson stepping in with the Houston Dash, right? And having that first year and maybe not necessarily go the direction they wants, but then he gets the second year, which again, 2020, strange times, but to see Houston Dash kind of put everything together, that's, I think, kind of one of the nice things about the NWSL is that, you know, there might be longer term projects, but we can also see the real difference in teams from one season to the next. Like really, there's no like historical like inference of like, oh, the stats are going to tell us this team is going to perform this way. NWSL, like, I think generally you could just kind of be like, nope.
You think it happened. Yeah.
Anything, yeah.
And that's something that I love about the league too, is like you can show up on any day and a team can beat anyone. And I think like with Houston, I love an underdog story, and not saying that they are underdogs now, but like going into the Challenge Cup, I think that they, you know, they were necessarily underdogs just from previous years of not being as successful. And so I don't want to say like happy, I'm happy for the league and the growth of women's soccer. I want to win the Challenge Cup, but I'm like pumped that a team could kind of like show that and also show our league and how like powerful that this league and strong this league really is.
Yeah, no, I get the sentiment of like, I personally want success, but also like, I also get the appeal of it. I wanted to also talk to you about kind of the change from the ownership of the Reign, where obviously Bill and Teresa Predmore have been with this team from day one, and then you have Lyon come in, and obviously we have seen Lyon in a lot of headlines, especially over this past couple of weeks with Caterina Macario heading there on a 2.5-year contract. But like, I really feel like I have not necessarily gotten kind of the player point of view in terms of has things changed? Like, obviously we've seen players like Sofia Huerta, Bethany Balcer head over to France to train. Like, we are starting to see this interaction, which is, I think, very cool for the NWSL to have that pathway. But what is it like on the ground in terms of the player point of view?
Well, I think that, you know, having Lyon, who's a powerhouse in Europe and in the world, they're the best club team in the world. They've been that way for so long. And so to have an ownership who knows what success is like and has succeeded year after year after year by building an organization and building a team, you know, it's really cool for their input to come in now and kind of be like, you know, they're running professionally. I think the goal for every club in well, not just in the US, in the world, is kind of be able to pay your players the way Lyon does, run an organization as close to a men's organization as possible. And like, they're the perfect example of that. So immediately once I knew that they were like taking over and coming over here and like kind of doing what they wanted, I was so pumped, because I think that, you know, that is going to give this league more validity. And I think I think Europeans actually like don't really value our league as much as we value it, because we play in it every single year and know how tough it is. So I think like just having them coming into this league and like adding value to that is huge, and they run it professionally. So, you know, everything is they're overseeing everything. And if they don't really like how something's going or where we're training or whatever it is, you know, they're able to provide, you know, their input professionally, like what should happen and solve things, but also money-wise. So I think anytime you have money backing this league, it's going to change everything. So, and then on this part of that, like on the other half, is the players being able to go and train, and just being able to loan people out. I think like that's how it is in the world. You know, you play in a club, if you want to get loaned out, you get loaned out. If not, and so I'm excited that we're taking steps towards that to, like how it's run on the men's side, just more professional and kind of like how it should be. So it's it gives me so much hope that this league is going in the right direction. And I credit Leon so much for stepping in and doing that and wanting to do that. You know, so it's really cool, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. And you know, Olas treats the women and pays them so well, and he you know, he wants that. He wants to value them, and you know, I think that's so cool, and that's kind of what every team in the world is striving to be.
Right. I think what's also really fun just in terms of Lyon is now, you know, obviously we are finally starting to get European soccer, women's soccer, a little more accessible here in the United States. I mean, my viewing habits have kind of gone from whatever we could get / the joy of streams that you would maybe have to pass along via Twitter DMs and all that kind of stuff into like actually being able to watch a Lyon game on ESPN Plus, right? Or Women's Super League in the mornings, and then, you know, potentially NWSL later in the day, right? Like we're actually finally starting to get that ownership shift and being able to see what the quality of the game is like in Europe. But what are your soccer viewing habits? Like, I'm gonna guess that you are watching the U.S. Women's National Team this week down in Florida, but are you also watching games in England? Like how much soccer are you watching?
Well, I'm always watching a lot of soccer, but I think that I'm always watching, if there's a game on, I'm watching it. So of course I'm watching the US Women's National Team, of course. And then the fact that like our teammates are going overseas and playing in the league, and then now we can actually watch them is like so cool. And it just is such a reflection of the growth of women's soccer in the world. And I think that like, it's always been so hard to get like market value or just to show women's soccer in general. So the fact that we're getting media coverage and we're able to watch overseas is huge. And I think that will not only just like inspire players in England and around the world, but also in the US, and know that, you know, there's, you know, if you're not drafted in college, you can do whatever you want if you work for it. So I think it's really cool that that's kind of the way that women's soccer is growing, and you can see the growth by literally now we're able to stream it and can watch. So yeah, when there's like whenever, I mean, of course, like, you know, when Alex was at Tottenham, I wanted to see her first game. And so that was really cool to be able to like witness that. 'Cause I know, just being a mom and coming back and, you know, how hard you have to work to get to that position. I think that was like a really cool moment. And yeah, of course, watching Harry, Tobin and Press and Sam and everyone, and Rose, it's really cool. And I think that, and even some of my teammates, Jess was on Reading, and I think like it's just really cool. I've been following everything. If it's not streamed, I'm at least following it and keeping up with what's going on. And yeah, so I think that the future of women's soccer is headed in the right direction. It just, that's everything that I think me as a player could hope for, is the growth of women. I hope that whenever I do leave the game, that I can leave it in a place where it's better for the next generation to feel like they're a professional athlete and feel like they have a career in women's soccer.
Right. All right. I noticed the sweatshirt. I've got my NWSL one on because I figured, you know, first day of preseason, right? But I know that you've got so much going on off the field as well. Obviously, I cannot pretend to be a gamer and thus ask you any sort of educated questions about that. I can barely survive like I played Gone Home, and that's my level of gaming. But tell me what you're working on. Obviously you've got, you know, the sweatshirt and all the clothing company happening, the gaming, your show with Women's ICC. What else are you working on right at the moment?
So I actually have two cool things in the gaming world. By the way, I didn't even know how massive the gaming world was until I stepped into it, and like I've been blown away. I still am like technology wise like need a lot of help. There's always someone like they're taking over my computer to like help me sync this and stream that. So I'm so thankful for those people, because I would not be able to do one thing without them. But I have two things. I just am this new company called Queens. It's like an all girls basically like gaming company that is going to like promote women, and like just I think it's a version, there's a guy side of it. So as soon as they said that they were going to do this, the first ever, you know, it's a group of females, you know, they're gonna not only just show what their lives are in gaming, but it's going to be everything from if you love cooking, if you love soccer, so I was all about that, just being able to be on that side of things and kind of like not necessarily be a role model in the gaming world, but just kind of making women feel like they can do whatever they want and they don't have to feel inferior to a male just because there's nothing available for them to be a part of. So it's kind of like a community, and I'm really pumped about it. And then I also just am doing something with the company Vindex, who basically bought all these gaming centers. Actually, they bought the gaming center called Belong, and they're bringing like locations to the US where basically instead of having a club team for soccer, there's going to be these gaming locations where you're a part of this gaming center, and it's like about building a community that like this is the place you go to instead of sitting behind your TV, and you're kind of like have this community go safe, fun, like being able to meet people and friends that you may never ever meet. And so that's kind of like your club team. So each location will kind of be playing against each other. And when you belong to this one gaming center, that's like your gaming center. So I think it's a really cool thing. And I think there's going to be a little production team that's going to follow me around and do some stuff that's balancing soccer and gaming, kind of seeing what like my world is like in a sense of training and preparing for you know, preseason or season or the women's national team or whatever it is. So I think it's gonna be really interesting. And those are two things I'm really excited about. So I'm pumped about it. And I never even, you know, I kind of stepped into this whole new world like blindly. And I actually did it for charity because of COVID and because Twitch was now streaming the NWSL. I was like, I'm gonna get behind this. And I wanted to bridge the gap between like Twitch and women's soccer. I kind of wanted more viewers, honestly, like watch our league and kind of have like put a name and a face to gaming and also soccer, and see if there's any way to collide those two worlds. If we can get a couple more fans from the gaming world, or females to be inspired by watching other females, I think that has always been like my main goal. So that's pretty much.
Yeah, I do remember. I want to say like, so my phone is on Verizon. I remember getting like, you get the little perks, and I'm almost positive I saw like one of the perks was like, you can play FIFA with Allie Long, and I was like, I could. First of all, I would get destroyed, but also when I play FIFA, which I have in the past, like, you know, I have it as a concept. I don't actively play, because my goal when I play FIFA is I put it on, first of all, easy mode, but then I play as the United States of America. And then my only goal in the game is to make Becky Sauerbrunn score goals. Like, that is the level.
Actually, I should do that too. That's such a good idea.
just make like a full highlight reel of Becky Sauerbrunn goals and post it. And honestly, I feel like people would love it. That's my level of FIFA. Honestly,
I'm just happy that there's women in the game to kind of, you know, that's just another example of like how the women's game is growing. And I think that we just, slowly but surely we'll get some club teams in there. But
hopefully NWSL. I will start playing it again if they put NWSL in, and I can slowly maybe learn how to play it.
No, it's hard if you've never played it before. Like, it's really like a different. I've had like a teammate come over and try to like play actually Michelle Pechos, and I've never seen someone hold a controller the way she does. And it was like the funniest thing, but I like can see the struggle. And I remember when I first played, like how that kind of like felt. So, I mean, I'm not good by any means. Like, there's people that are amazing, but I enjoy it. And I think that I really started to do it also as like when I was like if I was like recovering and I was like in the big legs or I was icing something like after a game, instead of watching film and like being very analytical and like going over the game, it was kind of time for me to just like shut off, play some Call of Duty, like and be done with it. Like, not think about soccer for like a little bit. So that's kind of what it also created for me, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so one last
things, but I'm just saying I also
All right, one last one for you, just in terms of what you'd like to maybe promise fans who are about to watch NWSL, obviously, you know, a lot of new viewers in 2020 between Challenge Cup and Fall Series. We've got CBS, we've got Twitch, right? Obviously, you are working to get more viewers on Twitch, which I think is awesome. But what are your hopes for 2021 for yourself, for OL Reign? Go for it.
I'm hoping that first that it's a safe, everyone stays healthy. But I think that like from the best thing about Twitch and streaming on CBS is that you can literally watch it from anywhere. And so I can promise that this league is exciting and it's fun and you're going to be inspired, but just give it a chance. And I think once you watch one, you're going to watch more. So I think that's always like thing when I'm talking to people on Twitch or if I'm streaming, I'm like, yeah, we have a game like coming up, watch it, like watch. And then all of a sudden they come back like, oh my God, that was so cool, you know? So I think that, yeah, just like giving it a chance and kind of like buying into it. And, you know, you're not just watching like women, you're literally watching like the best game being played and you could watch it from anywhere. So there's no excuse at all. And I think Reign's gonna put it together a little bit. I think the past 2 years have been tough we had so many injuries and then COVID last year, and I'm not making excuses, but I think that, you know, this time, the long preseason, I think it's really going to benefit us as a team with Fareed, you know, leading us. And I think this team is going to come together and kind of go back to 2018 and when they were like how they were before I even got there. So, I see success in the future.
All right. Well, that's a perfect note to end it on. Thank you for your time, Allie, and good luck at preseason. I'm sure we will all share the content with everyone back is going to be. I feel like Reign really has the edge on like TikToks. Like it just, there's something about Reign and TikToks.
I'm usually filming the TikToks and like coaching. I'm like, good job. You were a little late. Let's get it together. But honestly, Sophia and like Taylor and like Kristen McNabb, like they kill it on TikTok. And I'm just like filming behind, like coaching. Come on, get it together, girls. Be serious.
Okay.
I'm always serious.
Oh, serious.
Perfect.
No, you're not.
All right, that's a good place to end it on.
Okay, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Allie.